continued celebration of the league's 100th season. We are fortunate right now to be joined by two men who were instrumental in this process. Please give it up for President of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, David Baker, as well as Hall of Fame voter, Rick Gosselin.
Great to be with you, Kelly.
Big day. Yes. Big day. We're all excited. I honestly could hardly sleep.
Yeah.
13 members will be announced today on our show throughout these 3 hours. But there are, I got to tell you, President Baker, a lot of questions about this Centennial class. What is it that made you decide that this was something that you wanted to do, and how did it sort of evolve?
Yeah, it was actually Rick Gosselin, because when I got to the Hall 6 years ago, he said, hey, there's a backlog of seniors. And you got to understand, pro football has been around since 1905. The league started in 1920, and the Hall started in 1963. So immediately there was a 58-year backlog. The first year at the Hall, they announced 17 Hall of Famers. There were 11 players, 4 contributors, and 2 coaches. And so we have a seniors committee, we have a contributors committee, and we tried to make up for that. But since it's the 100th year, and it's kind of an every other lifetime experience right now, we thought this was a great opportunity to have a Centennial class. So we started with the thought that it would be 17, and Joe Horrigan, who handles our museum and selection services, started this 4 years ago. And then Salim Chowdhury, who now has succeeded him, works on it. But the goal here was we thought to get as many seniors, contributors, and coaches in that might have been overlooked along the way. So we had a blue ribbon committee of 25 of the best. I mean, it was a majority of our selectors. It was historians. It was a lot of football guys, whether that's Bill Belichick or Gil Brandt or Ron Wolf. I think there were 4 of them. And these guys worked. I think this is the class that has withstood more scrutiny than any other guys who've ever gone into the Hall of Fame. Collectively, they spent about 20 hours together selecting this class. And so I think it's a great class. They'll be enshrined. Some will be enshrined in August when we kick off the NFL season every year in Canton. Some will be enshrined on the birthday of the NFL, the Centennial birthday on September 17th and 18th.
It's incredible. And Rick, you were on this selection committee. It really is the 27 Yankees of people assembled for this group. It's Belichick and Madden and Dick LeBeau. Can you tell us how this group came together to make these big decisions?
Well, I thought having the 6 football people in the room changed the whole dynamic of the voting. I mean, all of a sudden, when we had the writers pick, you look at players, but when you get Bill Belichick and Dick LeBeau and John Madden, Ron Wolf talking about players, there were 6 of them. I think their voices resounded through the room, and I think their fingerprints are all over this class. I think the fact that you look at the slate, of the 20 players that we discussed, 14 had never been Hall of Fame finalists. We resurrected a lot of careers and a lot of candidacies that had been lost in the pages of history. I think Dave was right. We were trying to get the guys that fell through the cracks, and let's bring them back.
David, we think of the Hall of Fame. We obviously think of you knocking on that door. Yep. We think of the voting process with Rick and your colleagues. We also think of the speeches and the bus. Now, this is different than the Hall of Fame class that is going to be announced Saturday night at NFL Honors. So will this class get Hall of Fame busts, Hall of Fame speeches, the tradition of the Hall of Fame? Do they get that as well?
Once you're in the Hall of Fame, you're a Hall of Famer. Now, we might enshrine them a little bit differently in some respects in terms of the length of the speech, but they will unveil a bronze bust. They will get a gold jacket. They will get their ring of excellence in their stadium in front of their fans, and we will guard their legacy forever. I think that's something important for all football fans to understand. That bust is supposed to last for 40,000 years. And we have an archive for everybody that played the game, including you, Nate.
Yep.
But once you're a Hall of Famer, the guy who's got Dave Baker's job 100 years from now, his job will be to tell the story of the people that you're announcing today. Not just the football players they are, but the men they are. The mission of the Pro Football Hall of Fame is to honor the heroes of the game. Lincoln said that if a country doesn't honor its heroes, it shall not long endure. Well, I think the game has gotten stronger. And to see it in a guy like Bill Belichick or John Madden, they love the game. They love the history of the game. And frankly, their love of the history makes it stronger in the future.
Now, Rick, you touched on it a little bit about the history of these individuals going into the Centennial slate. But I want you to kind of break down, like, what exactly that is and when this is all going to be taking place.
Well, let me take you back. When I went and visited with Dave about 5 years ago, I brought the list of the players I thought deserved to be considered in the senior pool. There were 68 all-decade players that were in the senior pool, and 61 had never even been finalists. You're talking about all-decade players that couldn't ever get in a room. So that was the root of this thing. And then to get the slate, we went through several phone calls. We started with, I think, 200 names, and we had several cut downs.
Almost 300.
And we had several cut downs just to get to this 20. And this is all 20 of these guys, players, are Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Everybody we discussed, 38, they're all Hall of Famers. The matter is when.
We have the same question about when. The celebration at the end of this, the four of us have been to Canton. We've been part of the parade and the gold jacket ceremony. When will this class, the Centennial class, be enshrined to the Hall of Fame?
Well, we're looking mostly at the Centennial itself.
Okay.
But, you know, the Board of Trustees, the way we work at the Hall of Fame, the Board of Trustees kind of makes the rules. The staff carries those out. The selectors make the selection. But they gave me the opportunity to decide who goes in August and who goes in September. And we're going to decide that after we know who the modern era finalists, because they'll complete the Centennial class of 20. In addition to the guys you announced today.
I got to break the fourth wall and ask you a personal question. You were on both the Fox and CBS pregame show.
Yes.
Some amazing news. What's your last 3 days been like walking around maybe L.A., New York? Does everyone think they're going in the Hall of Fame when they see David Baker?
You know, I'll tell you, I go in the bathroom and somebody thinks, hey, there's going to be some good news here.
There never is.
So it's a little tough, I'll tell you. I have been overexposed. But what I thought was so important about that, what I've always felt about it, when I first had the opportunity with the NFL Network to knock on those doors, every fan should see that. Every fan should understand it. You know, when you knock on Randy Moss's door, Jerry Creamer, who waited 45 years, I'll tell you, they're not thinking trophies. They're not thinking, you know, their reputation. They're thinking about their mom that drove them to practice. They're thinking about the coach that didn't let them quit. They're thinking about their teammates. And the flood of emotions, you'll talk to a couple of them today, is overwhelming. And I think that's what you saw. Bill Cowher is a pretty tough guy.
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson is a pretty tough guy. And they turned to putty, you know, I mean, melted right in front of all America. Because they understood what this incredible moment meant. There's been 330 million men and now girls that have played this great game.
Yeah.
There's 5 million that have played it in college. There's only 29,000 who've ever been paid to play it, coach it, or officiate it in the NFL like you did, Nate. And right now in the Hall of Fame, there's only 326 bronze busts. And we have 181 living gold jackets. I mean, that's elite company. And today, you're going to announce 13 that are going to join them, in addition to Jimmy Johnson and Bill Cowher.
Do you have any advice for us, Mr. Baker? You do this for a living. You go out and, you know, how did that? I was shocked to know that Nate did not know what was happening with Coach Cowher. Where did you hide?
You know, let me tell you, both CBS, Fox, and our staff did a wonderful job. I mean, I hid in a car, went through a side door, went up the freight elevator.
Incredible.
Was in a closet for like 15 minutes. Yeah. You know, and then we got on a plane, and once we went to, there are some fans out there that were at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel. They're from Atlanta, and I apologize to you.
Yeah.
Because we never turn down a picture or anything like that. Our job is to serve fans.
They wanted a selfie?
He wanted to take a picture of me as I'm trying to leave the hotel to go to Fox. And obviously, if you put it out, it could get back to Jimmy
Why is
Johnson.
David Baker in L.A.?
So I told
Trending.
this poor guy, hey, I'm sorry, man, I can't do it. But, you know, it was great. And, again, what was great is that fans got to see it. Fans got to understand how much this is.
How do you handle the secrecy? The four of us are making a cameo in this process. I got to tell you, over the last 24 hours,
Crazy.
Texts from people I don't know, radio stations, emails, do you know the names? Who are they? Just swarming. When you know those names and you're making the walk down the hallway, you know, how do you keep it in? The anticipation is killing us.
Yeah, what I do is eat.
Beautiful.
If I've got food in my mouth, I can't.
Great answer.
That's good. But I'll tell you, Kyle, it's good. And
So
again,
fun.
we're going to keep their legacy forever. And it means a lot to these guys. And what we hope is that the Centennial, the enshrinement will kick off the 101st season of the NFL. But that Centennial, September 17th and 18th,
Yeah.
want you guys there. We're going to have this park, Centennial Plaza in Canton. Canton's a special place. You've been there. There's 4,800 people who take their vacation to be volunteers to put this on and kick off every NFL season. But what Canton has done, they raised $12 million to have this Centennial Plaza, and we will dedicate it on September 17th. And in that park will be the name of every player who played in the NFL during its first 100 years.
One game.
One game. You'll be in that park.
Wow.
And, you know, we think it's an opportunity to bring all the guys together and celebrate what they've built.
Yeah.
You know, when you end this game, it can be painful.
Yeah.
You know, you get cut, you know, you move on, teams make changes, and nobody thanks you.
Yeah.
Well, this is our opportunity for all of us fans to thank the guys and have the greatest gathering in football ever.
Nate, how does that hit you?
September 17th and 18th.
To know that your name will be etched.
Oh, it's powerful, man. You know, now I wanted to say this before I let you go, but I'll get to it right now. You know, I've talked to Hall of Famers, and, you know, the Hall of Famers, they tell me about being inducted into Canton and going into football heaven, as we like to call it here at the table. But as for a player who will never put on a Hall of Fame jacket, I want to say I appreciate what you do, because everywhere you go when talking about the Hall of Famers or a guy that just played one snap, you make us feel just as special. And it is important because, as you know, sometimes we walk off the field and it's almost like we walk into mystery because we don't know what our next chapter is. Not every player is fortunate enough to wake up every day and talk about football like I am. So there's certain guys that I talk to and they hear what you say, and it reminds them that they did accomplish something very special, even if we don't have a bronze bust sitting in Canton, Ohio.
Well, I couldn't have said it better myself, but it's exactly right. But what you have a doctorate in, an absolute doctorate in commitment, in perseverance, in discipline, in diligence, in teamwork, even in love. What my Hall of Famers talk about, the guys who played the game, what do they miss the most? They miss their teammates. They miss love. And the rest of us can learn something from that. It's not about worshiping the football hero or worshiping the game of football. It's about the values that every one of you employed over a long period of time, and the guys you'll announce today, to drag a whole lot of other people to a place of excellence. And you went together. You didn't get there alone. These guys didn't get to the Hall of Fame alone. And so we want to have that gathering of bringing people together because, frankly, the values that you have demonstrated have made you, you know, greater in this job. They can make somebody a better mother or a father. They can also make us a better community and a better country. And that's the great part about the Hall of Fame, to be honest with you. It's not just, you know, the money in the NFL or the popularity of the ratings. Frankly, there's a lot of values here that you guys and our coaches and our contributors that have made this reflect, from which all the fans can come and enjoy.
I love that you're talking about love. We're ready to feel that love for those 13 new members that we will be revealing throughout the day. President of the Hall of Fame, David Baker. You're not leaving, but we're going to take a short little break there. And Rick Gosselin, Hall of Fame voter, thank you for